Sonic the Hedgehog is now a guest character in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. But what if I told you this wasn't the first time this has happened? Back in 2006, Sega released Puyo Puyo Fever Carnival Edition, which was an online free-to-play game to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Puyo Puyo itself. Each month they would cycle through a guest character, one of which happened to be our favorite Speedy Blue Hedgehog. His appearance in this game is modeled after Sonic Riders, likely to promote the title. It's worth mentioning that a few other Sega characters appeared during this crossover, like Akira Yuki from Virtua Fighter and Ai from Super Monkey Ball. It's notable that Sakura Senguchi from Sakura War would later appear in Puyo Puyo Quest alongside Sonic and Friends, who would later be recycled as icons in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. Additionally, those that have played Puyo Puyo Tetris or its sequel are likely aware of the Sonic Puyo skin. However, this skin originally appeared in Puyo Puyo 15th Anniversary DS, and was a little different in that it featured silver instead of shadow. Since we're talking about Puyo skins, some of their origins are quite fun. The MSX skin features the design of the Puyo from the franchise's first debut on the MSX2. That's right, the arcade release of Puyo Puyo was not actually the first version of the game. Something you might not know is that the humanoid skin is actually from the Famicom Disk System version of the game, which came out the same day as the MSX2 version. The Game Gear skin obviously comes from the Game Gear release, which I'm a little nostalgic for, since Sonic Adventure DX featured Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine as an unlockable title. The capsule skin, while not explicitly stated, seemed to be a nod to Dr. Mario, and while this continues to be anecdotal, I always thought that the block skin resembled the bricks from Super Mario Bros. The Morolian skin features the aliens from
Space Channel 5.
However, this isn't the only groovy callback. Ringo makes a reference to the series protagonist Ulala by saying a few times throughout the series. This is one of Ulala's catchphrases in Japan. Ringo even went as far as to cosplay Ulala when the series crossed over in Puyo Puyo Quest. Purge, the main antagonist from Space Channel 5 Part 2, shares some connections with Ekolo as well. In Japan, they're both voiced by Akira Ishida. Purge's line was later referenced by Alter Ekolo in Puyo Puyo 20th Anniversary as his character select quote. In 2020, with the release of Space Channel 5 VR,
Kind of funky news flash!
Sega decided to create promotional stickers for the Line app, featuring not only Purge, but Ekolo cosplaying the man himself. This is completely subjective, but I like to think that Ekolo's head kind of resembles the Rhythm Rogue's antenna thing, as a minor nod. So, do you ever feel like it's easier to chain in modern Puyo Puyo games over Mean Bean Machine and Avalanche? Well, it's likely because you're playing Puyo Puyo with 5 colors. Once Puyo Puyo 2 established the competitive standard as 4 colors, most Puyo Puyo games stuck with this outside of arcade modes. But it seems like there was a point where Puyo Puyo was meant to be played with 6 colors, with the 6th color being teal. The previously mentioned MSX2 and Famicom versions of Puyo Puyo also featured 6 colors, and there even exists prototype footage of the Mega Drive version of Puyo Puyo with 6 colors. Additionally, data mining the retail release of Puyo Puyo for the Mega Drive reveals this unused 6th color remains in the code, though with its graphics removed. If you thought Puyo Puyo was already hard, it could have been a lot worse. On the topic of Puyo Puyo 1, or OPP, did you know there was actually an official English release of the game? That's right, no reskin, a proper localization with its original identity. For the longest time, a presumed bootleg ROM was circulating the net featuring localized character names, notably Arl as Sylvana, and Satan as Dark Prince, which ended up being the name we use today. There's even sprite alterations, like Harpy losing her wings, and different voice samples. It wasn't until the release of Sega Ages Puyo Puyo that we learned that this ROM was the real deal after all.
It's also worth mentioning that if the Japanese Game Gear release of Puyo Puyo is played on a European or American Game Gear, it will actually be translated to English under the alias Puzzlo Kids. The only real thing of merit is that Satan is also referred as the Dark Prince here. But considering these two localizations were made, there was a time where Compile was going to keep the brand consistent, before getting cold feet.
Here's a horny one. Puyo Puyo Sun was released in arcades before it was ported to home consoles, like most Compile era games.
Due to this, some of the features differ between versions, like CD quality music, an FMV opening, and voiceover for the cutscenes. But there's also visual differences, such as the artwork for Draco Centauros in her losing animation, featuring a far more suggestive position of her dress, and a bust increase? According to the sprite rib by Device on the Spriters resource, the artwork from the arcade version is still in the home console versions of the game, but unused. Makes me wonder if there was more to this story, like it was meant to be locked behind a code. Otherwise, why leave the graphics in the ROM?
And Puyo Puyo Sun isn't shy of cheat codes. If you hold start while hovering over Zo Daimo on the character select screen, all of the characters will be replaced by Zo. Additionally, the Dark Prince is voiced by series creator Mu Nitani in this game.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
As of this video, we have received the first 2 batches of DLC characters,
And I thought it would be fun to shed some light on what they're all about.
Liddell debuted in Puyo Pop Fever as one of Amity's timid but powerful classmates. She was erroneously referred to as Writer in this entry, likely due to phonetic issues with L and R sounds in the Japanese language. Still, it looks like there was an attempt at localization because she's also referred to as Rita in the same game. Liddell is quite ashamed of her irregular appearance,
And tries to hide it by wearing long, baggy clothes.
she especially dislikes her horns, which she tries to cover up with her hair.
At one point in Puyo Puyo 20th Anniversary, she encounters both Dark Prince and Draco, finding solace in their horned appearance and affectionately referring to them as family. As a magic user, her spells are weather-based, though they're spoken in Italian.
Vento. Uragano. Tifone. Tuono. Arcobaleno. Oh, I did it!
Misaccord debuted in Puyo Pop Fever as the mysterious teacher at Primp Magic School, and acts as the guide for the tutorial mode. She enjoys testing her students, as the central conflict in this game, locating her lost cane,
Sets her students on a wild goose chase on who can find it first. She is often accompanied by her small companion, Popoi, who is a talking cat.
I see some new faces, meow.
Misaccord's theme, which only appears on the attract screen tutorial in the original Puyo Pop Fever,
features the leitmotif of the Game Over theme, which adds to her mystique. Her spells typically feature musical concepts or schooling, though spoken in French.
Classe. Solfège. Crélance. Hapoilance. Fond d'étude. Partition.
Ocean Prince debuted in Puyo Pop Fever as an obstacle in Rafina's story mode. While he might be royalty, nobody really seems to respect his heritage. He speaks in an old-fashioned manner and is quick to throw his weight despite what little he has on land. In Puyo Puyo Fever 2, it's revealed he's a human named Prince Salde Canarl Shellbrick III, and only takes guise of a fish to hide from his duties, much to the dismay of his affectionate butler, Otamo. So if you're wondering why he suddenly becomes a pretty pink boy for his last spell, that is why. Most of Ocean Prince's spells are, well, ocean-themed.
Dolphin Smash. Shark's Bite. Whale Charge. Trident Billow. Prince Dignity. My will be done.
However, some of his chants, specifically
Kingdom Come.
and
My will be done.
could be construed as a reference to the prayer Our Father of the Catholic Church. You could just chalk this up to his quirky, old-fashioned way of talking. But it's worth mentioning that his final spell in Puyo Puyo 15th Anniversary is
which refers to the crown placed upon Jesus Christ leading up to his crucifixion.
Or the crown of thorns starfish, which was named after the same object.
You should all know who Sonic is at this point, but it is worth mentioning that Sonic makes a few references to his musical legacy, with quotes such as
Right there!
referring to the song Right There, Right On from Sonic Rush,
Right there! It doesn't matter!
referring to Sonic's theme from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2,
It doesn't matter! Sonic Boom!
could be referring to Sonic CD's iconic Sonic Boom, or the side series of the same name.
And while not a music reference,
Talk about mean beans!
brings everything full circle. All of Sonic's spells are based around his signature moves featured throughout the series.
Spin attack! Homing attack! Boost! Blue tornado! Limit break! Back at ya!
With Roger Craig Smith's exit from the role as of January 28th, it looks like Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 was his last role as Sonic. Possessed Klug debuted in Puyo Puyo Fever 2 as the final opponent for all of the Hara Hara courses. You know that book Klug carries around? That little red guy? Well, under the right circumstances, he can escape the pages of his prison. Since Klug is the nearest body, he typically becomes a victim to being possessed. This demon is actually incomplete, searching for his true body, as only half of his soul was originally sealed inside the book. The other half took the form of a young boy, Sig, his true body. So that's why Sig has one red hand and eye, and a blue ghost thingy. Puyo Puyo 7 introduced Dai Henshin, which temporarily allows the player to transform into an adult or a child. In the case of Klug, his adult form is actually possessed Klug. Unused artwork of Klug as an adult exists, so the fact that this went unused could be implying that Klug is destined to be a mere puppet for the rest of his life. Most of possessed Klug spells are based around objects that feature the color red, though spoken in Latin.
Anima, Ignis, Sandix, Rubor Vini, Hydrangea. I felt nothing.
His final spell, Hydrangea, refers to the Hydrangea plant, which is known to be either blue or red. It's no coincidence this is Sig's final spell as well,
Hydrangea!
though this was changed to Cobalt in the localization, which naturally can be found blue or red as well. Sara Lee debuted as an opponent in Puyo Puyo 2, but she wasn't playable until Puyo Puyan. It's worth mentioning that this isn't her first Western debut, as she actually appeared in Puyo Pop for the Game Boy Advance, and the far more obscure Puyo Pop for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Since Sara Lee is a mermaid, she's very paranoid that someone will eat her due to a legend stating that consuming a mermaid's flesh will grant immortality. Sketadara has a bit of a crush on the gal as well. Most of Sara Lee's spells have to do with activities that occur in the water, or her neurotic behavior.
Dive! Swim! I'm sorry. Cannonball! Stay away!
Raffy Soul debuted in Puyo Puyo Chronicle as the main antagonist. She was born from the pendant that Ally wears and is considered her dark counterpart, which is why her palette is an inversion of Ally's. She made her Western debut as a secret character in Puyo Puyo Champions in the August 24th, 2020 update, locked behind a button combination. Since Ally is obsessed with spreading and sharing affection, Raffy Soul is obsessed with seizing everything by force, reflecting her selfish desires in her spells.
Hide. Snatch. Takeover. Domination. Disorder. Revelations.
The twins Yu and Ray debuted in Puyo Pop Fever, though Ray was only mentioned and didn't make a playable debut until Puyo Puyo Fever 2, since Yu was looking for him during the events of the first game. Their names are a pun on the Japanese word for ghost, Yurei. They're dead. Speaking of puns, that's basically what Yu is all about. She loves to be silly, while Ray is quite reserved and soft-spoken. When they were alive, their personalities were allegedly swapped, with Ray being the enthusiastic one. So basically, Yu prefers being a ghost. This goes a step further in Puyo Puyo 20th Anniversary, where Yu struggles to understand why nobody wants to be turned into a ghost, effectively murdering them.
命をどうしよう。縁起でもない歌はやめろ。うわー、逃げた。
You and Ray's spells have to do with everything paranormal and spooky.
Red Wisp, come on. Blue Wisp, come on. Heavy Haze, Bat Storm. Rest in peace. Reincarnation.
Going back to Puyo Pop Fever, have you ever noticed that in the Fever playstyle, characters tend to stutter on their spells? This is likely a reference to Mado Monogatari, the dungeon crawling RPG that Puyo Puyo originated from. Yeah, that's right, Puyo Puyo is a spin-off.
Anywho, in Mado Monogatari, Arl can cast Diacute, which powers up her next spell.
To emphasize this, she would also stutter on the following spell. In modern Japanese Puyo games, Diacute is Arl's repeater, so when her spells play out, notice how she stuttered after Diacute? This pattern is actually unique to Arl, just so they can make this reference.
およっとウリケン稲妻落とし胡蝶の舞サイドワインダー新太陽極意
Fire! Ice Storm! ダイヤキュート! ブレインダムのユーゲーム!
This is also why, regardless of the mode, Arl always stutters on the spell that follows Diacute. Unfortunately, it appears this was lost in translation. In the Western release of Puyo Puyo Tetris 1, her repeater is
Want more? Want more? Want more?
which kinda works, but what makes me think it's a mistake is that it was changed to
Attack! Attack! Attack!
in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. But if you played enough PPT 1, you would know that
Attack!
is her fourth shout. In PPT 2,
Want more?
is her fourth shout instead, so they were swapped, perhaps by accident? Maybe they didn't understand the reference. Either way, just seems like a missed opportunity to say.
Speaking of Arl, while she might be the main protagonist of Mado Monogatari, there are two more, Rulu and Shezo. There's actually a rule established for the trio of protagonists in each universe, the ARS naming scheme. Essentially, each main trio's name must start with one of those letters. Puyo Puyo Fever 2 considers Amity, Rafina, and Sig to be the main protagonists of their universe, while Ringo, Risukuma, and Maguro are considered the protagonists of their universe. Now Tucker, you exclaim, Ringo doesn't start with A, and Maguro doesn't start with S. Well, you're right, except their last names are Ando and Sasaki, respectively. Nice save, Sega? Puyo Puyo Chronicle established yet another universe within a storybook, though only two new characters were introduced, Ali and Raffy Soul, which does follow the naming scheme, but unfortunately we're missing an S. Maybe the S is the friends we've made along the way.
Let's wrap it up where we started with some trivia from Puyo Puyo 15th Anniversary. The original print of the game on DS contained a bug that would stop recording save data after the game saved 255 times. In response to this, Sega released a reprint featuring a 1.1 build of the game that fixed this bug. However, later on Sega also re-released the game as a special price version which contained the 1.2 build. Through data mining, the community discovered there was an unused game mode called Puyo Puyo Sniper, a replica of the Flash game featured on the 15th Anniversary website. Down the line, Puyo Nexus user Azu discovered you could access this mode through an action replay code. Unfortunately, this is the only way to play this mode despite being fairly fleshed out with 150 levels.
Hey, thanks for watching! This was inspired by fact dump videos like DYKG and those new trendy icebergs. There's still a lot of Puyo Puyo info out there, so maybe I'll make more of these in the future. If I got anything wrong or if you know any obscure trivia, let me know down in the comments. Okay, bye!